Hello and welcome to this faction summary of Tausret in Total War Pharaoh. Tausret is a brilliant political figure who will focus on claiming the throne if her husband Seti proves incapable of dealing with the responsibilities of the crown. A life spent battling prejudice has made her strong and resilient in all matters, be they diplomacy, finance or war. Few realize her genius, as the focus at court had been directed to the male heirs, which could prove a very grave mistake. Tausret faction can quickly become the region's dominant economic force if left unchecked by opponents for too long. Her playstyle goes as defensive, with powerful and regional synergies, early Nile access, and failures that can quickly snowball. Regarding unique units, we find the best chariot faction that can achieve the strongest army composition given time. We start off with the Egyptian peasants, Egyptian swordsmen, javelin chariots, Egyptian spearmen, Egyptian axemen, Egyptian archers two-handed axes, Egyptian chariots, elite javelin chariots, Queen's Guard, Senene light chariots, and the Senene chariots. For faction buildings, we find the provisioning headquarters, which provide plus 30% to food in the province from the sources buildings, ports, fisheries on the Nile, shadow farms, and farms on the Nile. We also have the food recruitment cost minus 25% for own armies in this province, and production all resources plus 20% in the province, every 3 production buildings in the province. The downside here is minus 2 to happiness. We also find the Tausret's armory, armor on recruitment plus 15 for the own armies in the province, bronze plus 30% in the province from the source buildings and mines, production all resources plus 20% in the province for every 3 production buildings in the province. Same downside here with minus 2 to happiness. And then we have the Tausret's goldsmith, which provides plus 30% to gold in the province from the source buildings mines, gold construction cost minus 30% in the province, building type all buildings, and we have the production all resources plus 20% this province for once again every 3 production buildings in the province, and minus 2 to happiness. And finally we have the storage center, wood plus 30% in the province, source, ports and buildings, stone plus 30%, same here, buildings and mines as the source, and production all resources plus 20% in the province for every 3 production buildings in the province, and minus 2 to happiness. So we have a clear pattern here. Reaching the faction summary of strength and weakness unique to the faction of Tausret, as well as the key concepts, we start off with faction buildings, which does provide better production buildings and bonus for having more of them. The downside here is, as stated before, the production buildings lower the population happiness. As faction units, we find the strongest chariots, good at range, but overall low damage. For the commands, we have a province that receives instant per turn production and free instant construction. In the court, we flip plots against their owners, and we also suggested position Royal Treasurer. For the outpost at Tausret, you start off with 3 outposts, a Shrine of Isis, a trading post, and a Colossi of Memnon. The Shrine of Isis increases the workforce and happiness. Pray there to have the respective army reduce the happiness in enemy territory for a few turns. The trading post increases resource production. Trade there to reduce the respective army's upkeep for a few turns. And finally, the Colossi of Memnon is a landmark monument outpost from Egypt's history. It grants legitimacy for the owning faction. Pay homage there to increase the morale of all units in the respective army for a few turns. Native units as Tausret, you start in Upper Egypt and can make use of its native unit roster. For melee units in Upper Egypt are well trained due to their harsher environment and long military history with Nubia. Use them to hold the line and protect your missile units. And you can recruit Kopish warriors who are deadly in melee and are especially effective against armor. Use them to overwhelm weak enemy lines and tear through their shields. Your title's favorite chariots, they also provide defensive bonuses in battle and improve province management in campaign. Legitimacy, you start in Upper Egypt as stated and own 2 sacred Egyptian lands. To gain more legitimacy, expand either north or south and conquer sacred Egyptian lands. The desert regions to the west hold bronze and gold mines, but they grant no legitimacy. As Tausret, choose the ancient legacy of Hatshepsut the merchant Use it to send trade expeditions, spend your resources for powerful buffs to your provinces and items for your character. Equipment as Tausret, your starting equipment is a bow and a chariot. Keep your bodyguard unit away from harm and run down exposed enemies. Terrain and weather. In Egypt, the surrounding deserts, sandstorms and sweltering heat occur often. Egyptian units commonly wear light or medium armor, giving them swiftness on the battlefield. In difficult terrain, they can maneuver better than their enemies. Many of them are also resistant to heat, allowing them to ignore penalties from sweltering weather. And worship Isis as Tausret, you can construct shrines for all Egyptian gods more easily. Shrines of Isis increase happiness and workforce for their province. Use them to ease province management. Isis prayers allow your enemies to reduce happiness in enemy territory. The devoted general army has higher morale and increases your influence in the province where it is. That's it for this quick faction summary. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to leave that like and subscribe for more Total War content. See you in the next one.
A capable wife has been the boon of any great pharaoh, and there has been no pharaoh greater than my father. He accrued many brides, yet in wisdom and competence, not one of them was the equal of Seti's wife, Tausret. Seti is an exemplary warrior, yet the subtleties of governance continue to elude him. Tausret, however, knows when to use diplomacy with her neighbors and when to stamp out potential rebels. I do not doubt that under her guiding hand, our empire will extend its grip towards the hidden riches in the deserts. She rules over the Nile's first cataract most capably, ushering peace into southern Egypt, once consumed by rebellion. However, should the fortunes of our kingdom begin to wane and my chosen heir Seti fails to lead our people, she would not hesitate to snatch the crown from the hands of the unworthy.